Red Dwarf Waiting for God is a classic episode from Series 1, Episode 4. It's got some brilliant stuff in there, from the Quagars to the cat race to Lister being God of all things. It's a fantastic episode, and I figured with the Promised Land coming out really soon, it's time we got up to speed with Waiting for God. So this is our episode overview for Red Dwarf Waiting for God. We open with a couple of fun intro skits between Rimmer and Holly, and then Lister and the Toaster. While speaking to Holly, Rimmer is informed that an unidentified object is seen in space, which Rimmer dismisses at first. When Rimmer joins Lister, we're introduced to the concept of cat writing being based on smells rather than a written script. We're also shown Lister wearing one of Rimmer's shirts. While a fun thing for the characters to bicker over, it's also fun to consider that, in an episode where a major focus is on Lister being misrepresented as a far greater being than he really is, for half of the episode he's also wearing a second tech badge, one rank greater than his real position. A clever little bit of foreshadowing. After a call from Holly, Rimmer heads to the drive room to find out more about the unidentified object mentioned earlier. After a brief interaction between the cat and Rimmer, Cat meets with Lister and shows him a copy of the cat race's holy book. Lister realises that the cat's god Cloister is in fact him. The cats having created an entire mythos and religion based around Lister's actions shown in the very first episode. In choosing to be imprisoned for 18 months in stasis, rather than allowing his pet cat Frankenstein to be dissected, Lister became revered as the cat's saviour, while Frankenstein received the title of Holy Mother. A few minutes later, Rimmer races back in with the exciting news that the unidentified object Holly spotted is in fact a pod. We then switch to the observation room, where the pod is being stored. From here, the pod becomes Rimmer's main focus throughout the remainder of the episode. We get a humorous scene of Lister flaunting the pod quarantine rules, much to the annoyance of Rimmer, who's become convinced that the pod is alien in origin. Rimmer departs, leaving Lister alone with the pod, who realises that the pod originated from Red Dwarf itself and is in fact just a garbage pod. A realisation shared with Holly, who's using the pod to laugh at Rimmer's ignorance. Rimmer's excitement sees him wake up in the middle of the night to discuss the pod to an unenthusiastic Lister. Lister becomes far more intrigued when Rimmer describes his fantasy of the pod containing a six-breasted alien woman. In the morning, Lister discusses the cat holy book with Holly, who has completed translating the entire text from smell. It turns out that Dave's old dreams of farming in Fiji and opening a diner have become the cat view of heaven, with Fiji, or Fushao, becoming the promised land. Holly also reveals that two factions of believers eventually emerged, and were in constant state of war and fighting, eventually departing on separate ships to seek out the promised land. One group following Lister's laundry list as a tenuous star chart and flew to their deaths, while the other faction flew onwards knowing that they were indeed righteous. The reason for the two factions forming in the first place is revealed to be a meaningless disagreement as to what colour the diner hat should be, either red or blue.
Do you mean they had a war over whether the diner hats were red or blue?
Yeah, most of them were killed fighting about that. It's daft really, isn't it?
You're not kidding? It was supposed to be green.
Lister meets up with Rimmer and tries to discuss the issues of him being considered the cat's god and how he's struggling with this, knowing so many were killed in his name. Rimmer is dismissive and uninterested as he's become completely obsessed with the pod. He's even named his imaginary aliens the Quagars. Eventually, Rimmer's obsession leads to him having an outburst at Lister and shouting at him to leave. Lister laughs this off and goes seeking the cat. He can't find him at first, so Holly pinpoints him to the cargo hold. We then get a great scene of the cat interacting with an older cat who's been on Red Dwarf the whole time. He's a blind old priest near the end of his life who's beginning to lose his faith. Interestingly, he's wearing a red hat, so he's clearly one of the Red Hat faction. Just as the priest fully gives up his faith and removes his sacred hat, Lister bursts in wearing a strange donut that he found in the hallway. This is a great moment where Lister appears to the old man as his god Cloister, in a great parody of a second coming of a deity. We also get a few great details from the old man of more things involved in being a follower of Cloister, such as wearing custard stains and gravy marks as a sign of holiness. and renouncing coolness in favour of slobbiness. We also get a nice touch of one of his hands being darker than the other one, or essentially him having a black paw like many cats do. We also find out that the crippled and lame were left behind when the other cats went to seek the promised land, and that the cat is the son of a cripple and an idiot, helping to explain why the cat really is quite so stupid. The old man apologises for losing his faith, but Lister forgives him and offers him redemption, just before the old man passes away. The episode ends with Lister meeting back up with Rimmer at the pod, where Lister teases Rimmer before revealing that the pod contains nothing but garbage, with Rimmer speculating that perhaps the Quagars look like a roast chicken, before the realisation of the truth finally hits him, with a final little voiceover during the credits revealing that he has finally realised it's a garbage pod. A smegging garbage pod.
It's a garbage pod.
So while a great episode with loads of great comedy throughout and some really clever storylines, it's one that's really vital before we watch The Promised Land released this Thursday, as it sets up so many of the details to do with the cats, the cat race, and of course the cat race's religion of following Cloister. The obvious speculation would be that the cats shown in the trailer and clips released so far must be the cats that wore the red hat and went off seeking the Promised Land. Additionally, the uncool, holy cats that we see in the trailer, with messy hair and cigarettes sticking out their ears, must be the followers of Cloister who have adhered to the religion of slobbiness. I'm also hoping that we might see some important details to do with Frankenstein, the original holy mother of the cats, and perhaps some fun stuff to do with whatever else was on Lister's laundry list. Anyhow, this is a great episode. I love this particular one, Waiting for God, Series 1, Episode 4. If you have this on DVD or a Netflix account or whatever, then I really recommend you go watch it before you watch The Promised Land. Alright dudes, thank you so much for watching. This is a new channel, but I'm filling it with content as quick as I can. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, then why not hit that subscribe button so you'll know when the next video is out. And if you want to have even more detail of when things are out, hit the bell icon as well. If you've enjoyed this one, give us a thumbs up. And leave us a comment below of anything you want to say, anything you want to ask, and I will see you next time. Thanks dudes.